Hey guys, what is going on? I hope you're all having a fantastic day today. So recently I was scrolling around on YouTube just trying to find some content to react to or respond to, and I wasn't really getting any bites, I wasn't really finding anything that I thought was worth a response, and I was about to call it quits. That is until I came across this video on my YouTube feed, which was a guy trying to defend the PlayStation 5 Pro even after the price hikes. Which I thought was just insane, man. But the video actually comes from a new PlayStation fanboy, a PlayStation fanboy that we have not covered yet here on the channel, which is why I thought it would be a great idea to go ahead and make a response to. The video today is called, "Why Are the PC Guys Trying So Hard to Downplay the PS5 Pro and PSSR 2? And it comes from the new fanboy who goes by the name of FrogboyX1 Gaming and Tech Reviews. But yeah, that is pretty much all the introduction that you guys are going to need. Let's just go ahead and play his video and respond.
Hello and welcome back to FrogboyX1 Gaming and Tech Reviews, a channel solely dedicated to helping you validate the purchases that you make.
Gonna be completely honest here, I don't think you should go to a YouTuber to validate your purchase, especially when it's something as expensive as like a PC or a console.
Today guys, it is kind of funny, man. So I've been reading comments on X, in my own comment section, and I find it kind of weird that PC gamers of all people are the ones that have the biggest problem with the PlayStation 5 Pro price tag. And and to me that doesn't make any sense, because there are literal PC parts out there. I'm talking like motherboards that cost $1,000.
I think it actually makes a lot of sense that PC players are the main ones speaking out against the PlayStation 5 Pro, because PC players are more in the know about hardware. That's just reality, man. Like, PC players do a lot more research on hardware, and they just overall know a lot more, and that's not even me just trying to shit on console players. In fact, I remember back when the PS5 Pro got revealed and the price tag got revealed, PC players actually went and used like part pickers and stuff like that to show that you could actually get a pretty equivalent when it comes to power PC to the PS5 Pro for about the same price, if not a little bit more.
I mean, hell, when the PS5 Pro got revealed, I went on the PC parts picker and see what was possible for me to do there at a similar price point. And I came up with a couple builds. I have a pure AMD build, I have an AMD Nvidia build, and just for shits and giggles, I also did a third build that's a bit of a step up in price, but also a noticeable step up in performance. And guess what? All these builds are under $1,000 and is a good entry into PC gaming.
So for around $900, you could go and buy a PS5 Pro, or you could buy a PC that has all the functionality of a PC, obviously, with the power of a PS5 Pro for around the same price, proving that the PS5 Pro really isn't worth it. Also, in his clip there that I showed, he talks about a $1,000 motherboard, but the thing is like, you don't need a $1,000 motherboard if you want a really good computer. You can go for a cheaper one. And I don't really feel like saying that there's a $1,000 motherboard out there by some company that we don't know, because he doesn't even specify what company this is. I don't really think that fucking proves anything, I'm being honest.
$1,000 for a motherboard. And these guys have the audacity to complain about a $900 all-in-one console that can actually deliver a 4K experience on a 4K display.
I decided to actually search this up. More often than not, PlayStation 5 Pro games are not showing true 4K, they're showing upscaled 4K. And this same argument could be made about a entry-level GPU like a 3060, for example, or a 4060 or 5060. Those can also show 4K if you want them to.
Like, it convinced me, and I'm just like, damn. So it's like, as a PC gamer myself now that has literally spent like, dude, I could, my 5090 build alone is like, seriously, like 7 PS5 Pros, 7 of them, just in one build, just in one. The freaking GPU alone is like 3 PS5 Pros now at the $900 price tag. It's crazy. It's wild. Now,
A top-of-the-line PC is obviously going to be way more expensive than a PlayStation 5 Pro, but the thing is, you're also getting a very superior product, so, pros and cons, right?
All right, if you think about this, once you get into PC gaming, it's like it's almost like the FOMO cycle never ends. And it comes rapidly. It's like every couple of years, it's like every 2 years you'll get like a new GPU launch or a CPU launch or something. There's always something. Every single year, there's always some type of PC enhancing equipment that launches on an annual basis that is, prone to making people FOMO a lot.
This is just a really dumb argument because just because you have FOMO does not mean the PS5 Pro is suddenly more worth it. If you have FOMO, that is a you problem. If you feel the need to buy a new graphics card every single year when a new one comes out, that is you having a spending issue, and that's probably something you should work on. Also, couldn't this same argument be made for consoles whenever they release a limited edition controller or an exclusive game or even a limited edition console? Can't PlayStation players get FOMO for things like the PlayStation 2 VR or whatever it's called, or the PlayStation Portal, shit like that? Just like a PC player might get FOMO for a graphics card? Also, when it comes to buying a new graphics card, all you have to do is put in the new graphics card and you see your increased performance. When it comes to the PS5 Pro, you have to go out and buy an entire new console to see that increased performance, and you have to hope that developers decided to patch your game to take advantage of the Pro hardware.
Whereas if you contrast that to the console experience, up until just last generation, we got one console, and then they would iterate and it would get smaller. You get like the PS5 Fat, and then the PS3 Fat, and then you get the Slim, and then you get the Ultra Slim, and or the PS2 Fat, and then the Slim. You would just always get like these reiterated consoles until last generation when they started doing a Pro console about halfway through the generation. Upgrading every 4 years. In my opinion, like, I don't know. I guess when you're younger and like just coming up with the money to get the one console is already hard enough. Like, I understand it. But once you get to a certain point in life where like, being able to upgrade is not as big of a deal as these PC guys would like you to believe. I find it funny. I mean, like, there are people in the community that have literally upgraded every generation alongside me.
That is true, but there are also people in the PC community that may upgrade once every 8 years. So this thing goes both ways. Also, why are we acting like it's a bad thing to have a ton of upgrade options for PC? When have options ever been a bad thing when it comes to your gaming experience?
And like think about it, guys. If you're out there and you're say you're at a 70 class card right now, okay, a 70 class, 70 to like 70 Ti or whatever. Your average cost of a 70 card was what, like $600, okay, $600 for the 70 card. Or for the 5070 Ti, this generation was $450, okay? That's been pretty much the same for the last couple of generations. Obviously, like an 80 class card is going to start you at like $1,000 or whatever, okay? That's for a card. And the amount of FOMO that the Nvidia space, the PC space with Nvidia GPUs is incredibly high. Like, you buy one and then you instantly feel like, oh my gosh, I got to buy another one, like every 2 years.
I definitely do not feel this way, and all of my friends that I know that play on PC also do not feel this way. I bought a 4070 back in 2024, early 2024, and it is currently 2026, early 2026, I'd say, somewhat mid 2026, and I do not feel the need to upgrade at all. Most of the games that I play that are at least decently optimized run great on my 4070. Now you could make the argument, oh, well, Unreal Engine 5 games run like shit. Okay, well, I don't even want to play those anyway because most of them are optimized like shit and, have problems no matter where you play them. Especially on consoles. I have seen so many Unreal Engine 5 games on console not even get 60 FPS in the big 2.5, in the big 2.6, in the big 2.4.
And that's fine. Like if you get into PC gaming, that is and if you get into PC gaming and you have the disposable income, you're probably going to start spending a lot of money on PC.
If you want to, the option is obviously there for you to build a superpower PC. But the reality is most people on PC, I know I sounded like Harmon Smith by saying the reality is, but the reality is most people on PC are not decking out their PC to have some superpower NASA computer. Most people, if you check the Steam surveys, are on, I think it's like a 3060 or a 4060. In fact, let me go check right now. Alright, so here is the top cards being used on Steam right now. We have the 3060 at the top, the 4060 laptop in second, and the 4060 in third. So yeah, most people are not building supercomputers.
Like you're automatically, it only took me 2 generations to gravitate to a 90 class card on the Nvidia stack. Only 2 generations. And that's pretty rapidly. I started off with a 3060 Ti. By the second generation, I was into a 4080 Super, and by the third generation, boom, 5090 already. It happens that fast. Within 6 years, I'd already spent well over if we're just going by the cards that I started with, if I started with the 3060 Ti by the end of last generation, I ended that with a 4080 Super, and now this generation I'm on a 5090. So that's $2,600 for 5090, $1,300 for 5080 Super or 4080 Super, and then it was obviously the 3060 Ti that came in my build, but I'd upgraded that to a 3080 10 gig. So within just a few months of having it, like seriously, within 6 months, I had already upgraded to a 3080. So
okay, and that is you specifically. That is not the majority of the PC community, and you do understand that, right?
That there is kind of the trajectory of what you can expect from PC gaming.
Given the chart I just showed of what PC players are using for their GPUs, I highly doubt that.
Because I feel like most console gamers, when you go into PC, like your first instinct, my friends, is like, oh my gosh, dude, a 60 class is like $1,600, and that's a lot of money. It's way more than a console. So your first instinct is to just buy that, and then like you'll be happy for a little while. I mean, obviously, it's a really good experience, going to PC after console, and then getting features like DLSS and freaking everything that has to come with the Nvidia stack. Because let's be real, that's where most people are going to end up first, because that is where the mass majority of pre-builts are in the market. Is everyone's got an Nvidia pre-built on the shelf, and you're like, boom, I just want to try it. You don't want to stick your whole foot in. You don't know how it's going to work out, and then pretty soon you're hooked and you're sucked into it, and then you're upgrading pretty quickly because your 3060 or your 4060 or your 5060 just isn't gonna deliver that experience that you're wanting on that incredibly expensive OLED TV that you bought in your front room. And so you're going to end up upgrading pretty quickly.
The majority of PC gamers are not playing on a giant OLED TV, so a 4060 is, in most cases, for most PC players, completely fine. In fact, I decided to ask, do most PC gamers still play in 1080p online? And the result I got was yes. Over half of PC gamers still play in 1080p, making it the most dominant resolution. And according to early 2026 data, around 52 to 56% of users on platforms like Steam use 1080p. This sentiment was also echoed on like every single website that I checked talking about this distribution of people that play on 1080p, so this isn't just like the AI fucking up or anything like that. Most people still do play on 1080p, or at least over half of them still do. Another thing that I want to touch on that he said is that most people are using a Nvidia when they get a pre-built, an Nvidia graphics card. I see tons of pre-builts, maybe it's just the sites I'm going to, and maybe this guy went to different sites or whatever, but I see tons of AMD GPU pre-built when I'm looking around for a PC to buy.
And then that's the route you take. Well, the thing is, guys, and this is the biggest part. Once you start PC gaming and you start off on a 60 class card and you get a taste for PC gaming, you already know, you're like, damn, this is incredible. I'm never going back to console. And then you will spend the rest of your PC career convincing yourself that console is just trash, while also convincing yourself that, like, yeah, I should spend more money so I can have the best. And then pretty soon you get to the mindset where I just want the best, I don't care. And then you're with you're with a 90 class card. Why isn't the same true for console? Okay, obviously the PlayStation 5 Pro is the best you can get on the market.
Because if you're a console player, a PS5, base PS5 player, and you want the best of the best, why are you still even in a console ecosystem? The best of the best is obviously always going to be PC. Even if you take an equivalent spec console and compare it to an equivalent spec PC, the PC is just inherently going to be better because of all the things you can do on it. The reason why so many of us PC players speak out against the PlayStation 5 Pro is because the PlayStation 5 Pro kind of goes against what a console is supposed to be in the first place, an affordable entry into gaming. When the PS5 Pro is up at a PC price, you might as well just get a PC if you're going to spend that kind of money on a gaming device. Contrary to what this guy says in his video with his argument about having to upgrade all the time, if you buy a PC for around the price of a PlayStation 5 Pro, you're still going to get a great experience, and when it comes to performance, about an equivalent experience when it comes to your frame rates and resolutions.
The thing is like, you just, if you listen to the way PS or PC guys are sitting here trying to convince everybody that the PS5 Pro is trash, well, there's something very comforting about the PS5 Pro when you get on it. You sit down, you turn it on, you get into games, you're playing stuff, the image quality looks good. Pretty soon you're just back in this, like, oh my gosh, this is awesome, you know? It's like, why did I ever leave this? Like, what did I leave this for, you know? And before you know it, you're sitting in there, you're enjoying your games, you're playing, you're having fun, you're doing what you used to do before you went to PC and started watching a frame rate counter.
What if I told you that some of us get that same relaxing experience that you're describing on our PCs? Me personally, when I get off work, I enjoy booting up some Black Ops 3 custom zombies on my PC, kicking back and just enjoying it. I don't put a frame rate counter on my game or anything like that, or maybe if I do have it up in the corner, it's only to see when it drops, like, massively. But for the most part, I'm just enjoying the game and having fun. Just because when you play PC, you're sitting there looking at your frame rate counter more than you're actually playing the game, that doesn't mean that that is everyone else's experience on PC as well. Tons of people that I know don't even put a frame rate counter on their screen. And why are we acting like it's a bad thing to have the option of a frame rate counter on your screen? If you want that console experience, you know you could just turn it off, right? Also, there have been times when I played games like Space Marine 2 on console that I would have liked to have a frame rate counter because I felt drops and I was wondering just how low it was dropping.
I mean, seriously, I think more of my time on PC is spent just not playing the games like I used to on console. I used to play a lot of games. I still do for that part, but I used to play them and enjoy them and sit there on them. And now it's like, gosh, I'm like trying to figure out which one of my systems to play it on. And do I want to play with this settings or that settings or this or that? And there's just so much choice and so much, like, that you've got so many options on PC that it's very hard to settle on just anything.
Once again, this goes back to what I was saying earlier in my video. Why are we acting like options and choices with your gaming experience is a bad thing? Me personally, I would rather have all of these options available to tinker my experience to what I personally enjoy, rather than the developers or console manufacturers just choosing settings for me that I may not like. Like, for example, there's a lot of games on the PlayStation 5 that do not run as well as I would like them to. And I would have personally preferred if the developers went in and tinkered with some settings to try to get the frame rate up to at least 60 frames per second, but they didn't. However, over on PC, I have the freedom to change my game. I can make it look a little bit worse, for example, to reach that 60 frames per second.
And look, you can do what I did when I first started and just go for the ultra experience. You can just do that. You can just set it ultra settings and see what you get there. But I guarantee it, that gets old really fast, because you, depending on where you're at in your hardware, sometimes you can't run ultra. And then what do? Then you're just upset. Then you're feeling FOMO. Then you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I got to do this, or I got to go buy that.
Most normal people who are on PC, when they try setting their settings to ultra and can't really run it that well, they don't immediately think, oh my god, I need to go out and buy a new graphics card right now. They think, okay, well, maybe I'll try high or medium settings, and in some cases I even use low settings, because I just like the way the game runs on low settings. Most of us do not have this insane spending problem that you clearly have.
And or you'll start seeing new games come out and they'll start recommending significantly higher hardware than you already currently have.
If you're on a mid-range PC build and games start recommending hardware that is much higher than you have, that is probably the game just being unoptimized. And if the game isn't running well on a mid-range PC, it is probably going to run like shit on console as well.
And then the instant FOMO starts to get to you again. Like, look, guys, it's a double-edged sword. PC is absolutely fantastic, but it can also be a really big freaking, like, stressful experience, especially if like perfection is what you were going for. You're going to find yourself being very unhappy a lot of the time.
You claim that PC would be a very stressful or shitty experience for somebody who wants perfection, but how would console fare for that person who wants perfection? You miss out on a ton of games that are not on consoles. You can't customize your settings, your graphics, your frame rate, or anything like that. And you can't mod your games. I feel like somebody who wants perfection is going to have a much better time on PC than they would on console. In fact, as someone who has been gaming on PC for almost a decade now at this point, the only real problem I have with PC gaming is Windows just being a pile of shit. Now, you could argue that I could switch over to Linux, and that is true. However, my problem with Linux is that it doesn't support a lot of games. But that's the only real big issue I've had with PC with my almost decade on the PC platform. Now, for the rest of his video, he goes on to just kind of close things up, so I'm gonna do the same. If you guys did enjoy today's video, a like and a sub would be greatly appreciated. If you didn't like this video, you can leave a dislike and a mean comment. Alright guys, that's everything from me. I'm out.